Right, in this video we're going to be talking about the underside of the car, and in my opinion the underside of the car is a very important and neglected part of the car. For example, when I go to buy a car, especially of course a used car, and in fact even a new one, I spend a lot of time looking under the car. If it's a new car, I'll look at the design or the underneath of the car. If it's an old car, I'll just look for the deterioration or how well it's kept, or also and the design of the under of the car. So things that to look out for the underside of the car, things that will help the underside of your car maintain its integrity. Undershield, of course, undershield along the engine bay, undershield along the cabling. Okay, so every year what I normally do is I have a thorough look under the car, and it reveals a lot. So when I say under the car, probably from mid door level down. When I include mid door level, I include things like the springs and the brakes all the way down. Very important when you're choosing a new car or buying a second-hand car. So, and also if you've got a car, very important just to keep that maintenance in once a year at least. Do what I do, okay, and it will save you money in the long term in terms of repair and also in terms of wear and tear in parts of your opponent. So today I'm going to do both cars, and I'll just pick out the key points. First thing you'll need is bits and pieces that I would have ready. So I've just bought a new can of this high temperature paint, aluminium coloured paint. Show you what that's used for in a minute. Very good rust proofing stuff. Hammerite No1 rust beater, very good. Paint that directly onto rust. Under seal if there's any exposed area. I've got some contact spray. May not use this. May use it on things like, say for example, you discover your aircon is not functioning. It may be due to bad contacts. Anything electronic might be visible. Dangling down, you'll see the contacts where they're pushing each other. Male and female might be a bit rusty. You might need a bit of this. Penetrating oil. I've got no lid for that, but I'm going to swap that over. That's very good. Silicon will be very important. Silicon spray. Alright, so the other thing you need, we won't need to jack this up, however we will need a pair of good quality ramps. Alright, whether it is fully plastic, I use metal ones with a lifter at the front as well to help with a low profile car. Alright, so let's just get my car in the position, put it on the ramp, and we'll have a look. By the way, for normal cars these days, they're fairly low profile. I always recommend getting a ramp extender, because that ramp extender will help you to actually mount it on here, because sometimes you find when you roll it onto this it will slip. That ramp extender helps not only for the low profile, and because it helps you get it on. Alright, and also I recommend just keeping the engine a little bit warm as well. Run it for a few minutes before you ramp it up. It makes it easier to roll it onto them. Make sure your wheels are sitting past the point. There's the point there. Make sure when it's sitting on it properly, it will just sit in the groove. It can't roll backwards or forwards. So make sure it's doing that. And of course, make sure middle of the wheels over the middle of it at least. Both sides, of course. So it's sitting nicely in that groove in there. There's a little ridge just there. It's gone over it. That's good. Right, rear of the Honda on the ramp. Of course, make sure everything is secure. Inspect. Don't forget I need a torch. I won't need it at the moment, but I will get one in just a second. Show you another view of it. So inspect things like the spring. Inspect it for places down here as it snapped. Feel it all the way in. Usually it snaps just at the bottom there. That spring's okay. Now the rust protector I put on a couple of years ago now is actually absolutely fine. You look at it, the spring's not rusty. So check the condition of springs, can check the condition of the strut. How do you know the strut is faulty? You'll get greasy deposits along this shaft. That looks fine. Looking at one layer of rust proofing, that #1 rust beater Hammerite, and it's still going good. It's still good. That was all rusty. Check the condition of the paint. Notice I said paint. That is exactly right. And notice on my the condition of the high temperature paint on the exhausts on the rear. Absolutely fine. So I'll put another layer on. Check the condition of the other one, of course, the opposing side. Feel for the spring. Hasn't cracked off, hasn't broken off. That feels good. Check the top. This spring looks okay as well. This spring carrier looks fine. Notice that rusty paint. Notice that it's a little bit brown. The anti-rust paint is still good. Other things to notice: fuel pipes. That's a rubber fuel pipe, so not worry about that. Feel into it. That's the metal. So where this shield is, good design, of course. Shielding the metal fuel pipe and brake pipes from rust. So that we know that's rubber. Yeah, that's rubber. This I think is also rubber, not 100% sure. It feels like metal. Check the condition of all the fluid pipes. Alright. So these are the kind of checks that your inspection that you pay for, vehicle inspection, MOT in the UK, if they're good, they'll be looking for things like this. And look, just here, say you had a failing wherever that's connected, and I'm just thinking fuel pump connector. Yep, your fuel pump was failing. It could be that there could be like a deposit of rust right in there. Is that a fuel pump connector? 100% sure, but if it was, look, it's connected to the fuel tank. I think it is. Right, if it was failing because it's not pumping fuel, could be that that's rusty, but it looks okay because everything else there is not rusty. Here's one of them little armatures again. Those little armatures are important. The one on this side long ago snapped off of the one at the front, so that actuates something. Still haven't worked out. And obviously the back goes up and down, that armature goes up and down. So it could be a sensor for the, that is a sensor for the ride of the rear, if you want to say that. So it might detect like the pitch of the car. So just pay particular attention to the fuel pipes and the brake pipes, like here. That's rubber. After that is metal, and that's the brake. They look absolutely superb. The brake pipes look superb. Rubber, don't have to worry about. The metal bits you have to worry about. Like here. They look good. Spring looks good at the top. Spring looks good at the top. The bottom it looks rotten. So I don't think I need another layer on there. That's the exhaust. Looks good. Whatever I did to it last with that spray. Now I was just debating. See these bolts on the exhaust? Might as well paint straight over them, because look how rusty that is now. As a clear example. How am I ever going to disconnect that? In fact, I painted anti-rust paint on it. You might as well just paint anti-rust paint straight over it, because if it was rusty, you never get it off. And the reason why I always paint exhausts is they must be the hardest thing for the home mechanic to change. Look how long that is. You'll have to have arms like a orangutan and strength of a gorilla just to take these off. They are so difficult, and they usually join somewhere and you have to separate them. right? Unless the easiest way is to take the whole lot off and change the whole lot, rather than take a piece. And that would include, unfortunately, that the catalytic converter, the silencers here, the catalytic converter will have to come out because they are near impossible, and it's definitely worth investing in paint. £7.49 it cost me. So check here, check these bits here, these bits for integrity, because it used to be in old cars, these bits used to always rot, to knock it. So check here, check the seals of the car. Under seals, they used to call them. So that's what I'm going to do. Check the under seals of the car. I'm going to go around my torch knocking on these little bits. Make sure it's still metal. There's no rust. It'll sound different if you knocked it. So this under tray covers the whole of it, and that's great. It looks like the exhaust is mainly on that side, on the right side of the car. So what I'll do is when I jack up the front is when I'll paint the rest of that exhaust. It goes to the, well, no, I should be able to reach it from here. Just lay down on the floor. Right, so another thing, very important, locate the brake cable, handbrake cable. Handbrake cable comes in. Where is it? Might be easier to see. Yeah, usually there it is. Handbrake cable. Just here, see that? Right, follow that. There's the handbrake cable, goes back. I mean, if you was worried about the under tray, take the under tray off. Take it off and then view all of it. If you were, but because the under tray's there covering this, I'm not that worried. Right, view that handbrake cable just here. Comes off. Looks like it's in good condition. Wraps around, comes down. There is. See it how it attaches there. Check the condition of that. But particularly, there's an easy trick I'll show you right now. How to maintain the power of the grip of your handbrake, or your parking brake as it's called. Very simple, WD-40. Right, I should do that right now. This is the most likely point to go wrong in my car at the moment. Parking brake's not actuating properly, so can't shine the torch at the moment. So follow in that mechanism right in there. Just spray a decent amount in, all in there, get in there somewhere. Believe it or not, that simple action I'm doing now has made a difference between, don't worry, it won't get on the brake from here, shielded on my car anyway. That simple action has made a difference between a car braking, having a parking brake on properly, better view here, and not, believe it or not. Just this simple action. Soak in some penetrating oil, gets rid of the grease, dirt, it'll evaporate off, and it'll operate as new. That's a simple job. Right, whilst the car's pumped up at the back, check if there's any rubber gaiters. Usually not at the back there's rubber gaiters. Nope, no rubber gaiters. Right, so time for me now just to spray silver paint, heat proof paint, up to, I think they're up to 500 degrees from Halfords. So I'm going to get it on here, get it on here, get it on here. I'll go on the side, do the side, put it on there, do that, and go on the side, do the side, do the catalytic converter, the expensive catalytic converter. I'm just going to spray it all over all of this. Alright, let's do that. Give it a good shake. So heat proof paint, where's it good up to from Halfords? £7.49 I think I paid. It will say somewhere up to 500, yep. It's a very high temperature paint. Now, it's not the toughest of paint. You know, you can easily kind of rub it off. So if you were to rub my exhaust with a scouring pad, let's say, half of that will come off the previous paint that was on there. However, as you've seen, I painted it maybe a little while ago, the same exhaust, and the paint's still there. It isn't falling off. It's protected it from rust. Exhaust wise, most difficult to change for the home mechanic, fairly expensive to change at the shop. I'll probably, if it ever was to go wrong, change it at the shop. I wouldn't want to attempt that on my own. very easily preventable by spraying some of this on. So I'm just going to do it now. Logic tells me I move my camera away, and you kind of backdraft, blow back, completely smother the lens. So I can get these bits here. On this side, no problem. Have a little shake. Simple as that. That alone could be make or break for your exhaust. And nothing worse than a car who's got a hole in his exhaust. You know what I mean? They go bang, 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 bang down the road. Absolutely horrible. Make sure you got your face mask on. Everyone should have one of them handy. These points here, these weak points, hangs off that. Although this design's quite good, the weight is off that point, otherwise it will hang off that, and definitely likely to snap just there. Which I haven't got any more lens. Again, this corner. Is that side done? There's two exhausts in this car. Makes it sound like it's a V engine, but it's not. Probably designed that way because they have got a V version, haven't they? Honda Civic, whatever they call it, can't remember. The racing version, that will have two exhausts from a V6, I think. I think it's a V6, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure, but a quick one, racing one. That's why they design them one way. That's good, that's all that rear covered. A bit more here. Oh, that's it. Okay, time to flip the car around. So the front of the car means you've got to look out for it. Like there's the rest of the exhaust we can get to, of course. It's the same thing, we're looking for the spring, the integrity of the strut. Needed my torch. So the rubber gaiter there on the drive shaft, check the integrity of that. So prise it apart with your fingers just to check for any cracks, any greasiness. If there's any greasiness will be a good telltale. These rubber gaiters, normally when you do things like take the wheel off, you can do it then as well. A little bit easier than it is now. So the spring is way up there. I won't be able to check if I'm around here. I'll have to come back out. Rubber gaiters on there, on the torque arm, can't remember what we call it. Check the state of this, check for general rust, mainly check for rubber gaiters that are leaking. Alright, so we're bring a look now. So you see I've got layers of protection on from previously where I put it on. Check the seals of the car, the under seals of the car. Looks okay. Everything looks alright actually. So what I'm just going to probably do is just to paint the rest of that exhaust. And that should do it for the front of this car. But I will check the under not the undersill, the seals of the car. In old cars they used to always go, the seals of the car. What I mean by that I'll show you just now. Here, just here, it's gone rusty in old cars. Now they just made of plastic, but in the old cars, just here. So I can feel some metal. It's probably worth me probing. Just here, the seals of the car. It's still metal, and having a look at it. They look good. Very important that. I think this plastic can come off, but I'm not going to do it. Just feel it with my fingers for rust. Alright, let's get that paint on the front. So, front of the Ford. Looking under there, I don't like the way that crossbar is kind of rusty, to be honest. See it? I'm going to put a layer of that anti-rust paint straight on it. I might just get a wire brush, go over it once over, use a safety goggles as well, getting your eyes. Once over it, a wire brush, and then paint it straight on. Anywhere else? Before we do that, check the rubber gaiters. Likely failing spots. Check the condition for any grease. Check the struts for greasiness. Check the springs. But easier actually not under the car. Springs and struts in the front. Okay with the rear. Check of course your brake pads. That'll be easier just having the wheel off. Can't do it from here. Check the arm, of course. If you've got an easy to remove under tray, like on this car, need the tools to remove the under tray. Remove the under tray. For this car, the full figure is just 6 screws. Torque's 30, and the thing we're looking for mainly is leaks under the car. Right, so what leaks will be important? Oil leaks, the obvious one. The other leak is important. Fuel leak. Another leak will be important. Brake fluid, clutch fluid leak, and the one that escapes a lot of people, that is usually a slow leak, would be the gearbox oil leak. So gearbox oil leak I found in this car, and I repaired it. Watch one of my other videos on repairing fuel box, gearbox leak. Let's get this off and see. So the trim tool usually comes in as well somewhere, and this is just a very convenient one which banged on my head. It's okay. And the other side, collect the little fastener. I always have spare ones, but they're not essential in this car because we've got so many other fasteners. So it's simple as that. Take that off. Leave the other side. Decide to leave the other one on. Probably won't need it off completely. So thing is, can I get to paint this exhaust? Look at the previous paint still on there. I will paint anti-rust paint on that arm there, that arm as well, just there and there. So I think I'm going to put paint on all of this undercarriage, so subframe. We get on there. So check for oil leaks on the gearbox. Gearbox is here. No oil there. You'll notice that. Your aircon pump, if it's leaking, mine's got no aircon fluid and it's got minimal aircon fluid. We're leaking greasy green paint there, green dye. So look for leaks on this gearbox. Mine looks okay. A couple of years ago it was leaking, fixed it. Watch another video of mine. Absolutely fine. It's a leak fixer you can have. So I'm going to take this panel off, do some painting, do some spraying. Wire brush, kind of difficult. Upside down, brush it down, clean it off. There'll be loads of dirt on there. In fact, this ain't too bad. Have I painted it already? Here's the thing, is it brown? Nope. I may have painted it already, that's why it looks a bit different. There's no rust on there. Get rid of the dust from your eyes. Straight spray on, straight, well I've got a paintbrush in my hand. Straight, not spray on, I mean straight paint on. Don't want this bar getting rusty at all. Likely though, going, you can see it. You can see it's going. So I'm going to go around all the rusty bits before I put paint on it. So we go around the exhaust as well using the same wire brush before I spray the paint on, because this exhaust seems a little bit worse for wear compared to the other Honda. Anyway, you know what I'm going to do, you know what I'm doing. I'll show you the end result. This is a newer one. Oh, I'm just going to do that, I can't do this one-handed. Oh, I've got penetrating oil and WD-40 silicone. Penetrating oil. Now I found a bolt that one day I may have to take off. So I'm not going to paint over that. Likely it's on the rear engine mount. So I've already brushed off the rust. Just give that a little, and look at the other nuts and bolts, they're not rusty, it's just that one. So it could be a reason why, I'm not sure. But that will keep it healthy. That's just after the lower tray. Maybe that's where it's catching the dirt. And I wanted to show you about design as well. When I mentioned the design of a car, I'm looking for things like this. See how this is indented in. You see that? See, it's not flat with a bolt on it. Number one, when the dirt and the salt from the winter rushes by, number one, because it's indented, it's not going to catch it as much. Also, very, very clever Ford has done on this. Sounds a bit Yoderish. As the air rushes past, it's got to go under this divot and it comes out. So actually, it speeds up. The air speeds up here, so it's faster air here than it is here. So what the effect of that is, it'll push out the dirt because it's faster. It's sucking it out. All right, it's kind of lower pressure there because it's faster. Yes, it will be lower pressure, but it'll also be moving faster, so it'll suck out the dirt. Very clever. Right, couple of things what I was on about. Right, so I've used that. I'm only going to use it on one bolt. Silicone spray is for silicone rubber. Right, so rubber gaiters. It's not going to go on the disc, but see how I've made this really nice. Nicely done with a really long nozzle. This will keep the things that end up splitting later, not straight away. Also check for clasps like this. They're not undone. Sometimes they're undone due to wear and tear. So that clasp right there. Sometimes in the old cars, especially the old car where I used to have Ziction Santia, used to come undone all the time. Anyone had that car, you know what I mean. Every MOT used to go off, come off, and have to replace it. Right, rubber gaiter's done. You could, like here, you could get it in there, but that's kind of getting near the disc. That's alright. In there, it's fine. A little bit. Fine. Anyway, what's that bit? Anyway, that's about it really. Just going to do the rear afterwards. So I'm going to get some paint on the exhaust, paint some anti-rust paint on the rusty bits, and I'll reverse the car, get up the ramp, do the exhaust again, any other rusty bits, and that's it really. That's the video. Let me know what you think. I would say minimum every 3 years. I would say every year for the exhaust and every 3 years for everything else. Definitely. It'll save you thousands and thousands in repair bills. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Always welcome. See you soon. There she is. Good as new is. Rusty, paint over, brushed off one layer. That's it. That bar will never rust again. The crossbar, stabilizer bar, whatever it's called, or the, it just looks like a crossbar, doesn't it? Keeps the, when you turn the car, and when this car turns very well. Checking the pipes as well. You forgot to do that. They look good. Fuel pipe, brake pipes. None of them look rusty. They look good. Interestingly, there's no cover on that side. Right in the middle, there's no cover. It's fine, but still, it looks good. Right, just to do the rear.